So this one, about how many hours do you think should we approximate the sun to be up a day? Okay, so let's go 10 hours. I think that's still a bit high. I think somewhere around 8 is better.
Yeah, and this is assuming equatorial.
Let's go 8 hours. And then storage is also a big factor that, that you have a huge amount of energy loss in storage as well. There's like this is one of the reasons why just energy is a problem, because we have no really good way of storing it yet. So generally, when you are trying to get power from your solar panel, you're going to try to charge something with it, like a battery. And when you charge a battery with it, you have built-in losses. And the efficiency of transferring power from a solar panel to a battery without using any sort of voltage regulation or anything, because that has energy loss too, is about 75%. And so now that you've stored your energy, what sort of applications are you going to try to power off of this battery? Generally. Yeah, and what kind of power do small appliances take? Are you going to AC? So you're going to have to convert this, because when you have power stored in a battery, it's stored as DC. So you have to convert it to AC again. So you have this DC to AC conversion, which also has a loss in efficiency. And then we can say that's about 75% too. It varies a lot depending on how expensive your inverter is and like how you're matching your loads with that inverter. So it goes anywhere between like 50 and 90%, I'd say, but sticking to 75% is reasonable. So now that we have all of these numbers, we can reevaluate our calculations. So we have 1 kilowatt hour still for Nicaragua, and now we're dividing it by times 0.75. I think we want them in the denominator. Yeah, let's do this because I'm running out of space. And let's just say that that's 10%. Sure. Okay. And does someone have a calculator and want to do this? I can do it on my computer too. Let's race.
Go, Jack, go. 0.002777778. Probably 0.7 actually.
I think that's in the, well, it's kilowatts divided by that, so it's actually going to be 2.7, or whatever. It's going to be about 3 meters squared.
Yeah, 2.7.
Yeah. Which is suddenly a lot larger than what we had before. And this is still assuming that this is going to be best case scenario. And so if we assume that the sun is going to be shining bright every day, we're going to have a solar panel at least 3 meters square, or 3 square meters. And then we have to think about other things too when we're dealing with PV usage. Like, what is the power being used for, and how reliable does it need to be? So what are some places where we could think about installing solar panels where it wouldn't need to be reliable, and it would need to be very reliable. Okay. I guess in the non-reliable, maybe a home where you don't, if you have a house that's not using refrigeration and they're using lighting, if they don't have electricity for one day or something like that, it's not the end of the world. But when you're looking at designing a solar photovoltaic system for a community partner, you need to be asking these sorts of questions, like how long can you go without power? For a hospital, if you can't go a day without power, what do you do if there's no sun for a week? If it's cloudy, you can't have people who are on technology, or you just can't have that for the hospital. So you need to build a more robust system that can draw more power and store it better. Whereas for housing, maybe a couple days, if not, or maybe you can afford to go without electricity for a couple of days. So yeah, and then does anyone know what the cost of photovoltaics is as well? Yeah, when we were looking this up, we found a pretty big range for how expensive they were. I think most of the sources were saying it was around $3 to $5 for the cheapest PV we could find, but it's still on that order for watt. And so I guess the thing you should take away from this is a lot of times people look at lighting and just say, or electricity, and just assume that solar is like a miraculous solution that's going to solve everything, and you really don't want to think about it as that. You want to actually think about all of the considerations that go into creating a system. Okay, so we could split into two groups.